All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Lisa Twilley. I'm the director of the Women's Business Center here at Maryland Capital Enterprises. Just to give you a little information about MCE, we are a nonprofit based here in Salisbury with an office in Baltimore as well. We cover the entire Eastern Shore of Maryland, Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and Anne Arundel County. And we provide free services to people getting started in business, or if you're already in business and trying to expand. So we do business consulting, marketing consulting, training workshops such as this, and we also do small business loans, one-on-one mentoring as well. So if you need any of our services, please reach out to us. I put my contact information in the chat. I know we have a lot of people on here today from all over the country, actually. So we are a Maryland-based company, but if you need similar services, we can direct you to a women's business center or a nonprofit similar in your area. So just reach out to us. And today we have Rosalind Davis, who is here from RADA Business Solutions. I'm getting tongue-tied. She is been a valuable resource to us. She teaches this class for us, and also the MBE, SCE, DBE certification steps to getting certified for that. We have those two classes coming up in November. I believe it's the 7th and the 14th. I meant to look at that before I got on here, but I'll put it in the chat. So are you on here, Roz?
I am. It is the 7th and the 14th. You are correct.
Okay. All right. Keep me straight. All right. So take it away.
All right. Well, hello, everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar on the System for Award Management, Sam.Gov Simplified. I'm Rosalind Davis, the president and CEO of ROTA Business Solutions, a management consulting firm specializing in program and project lifecycle management, business administration, diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility training, and logistics operations. ROTA is based in Maryland, and we are a woman, veteran, and minority-owned small business. Now, before I get started into the presentation, I definitely want to thank the Maryland Capital Enterprise, the Women Business Center Director, Lisa Twilley, for providing this training platform. As she stated, this is an ongoing training platform that she provides on a quarterly basis. I also want to thank Ms. Kamalia Blunt of Lord and Tucker Management Consultants, because she is the one who introduced me to Lisa. So in order to bring these training sessions to you every quarter. Now, I also want to thank Ms. Portia May of Full Armor Technology, which is a global service providing stand-up and upgrading network infrastructures, cabling installations, automation, smart home, and cloud and software as a service for federal and commercial clients. Full Armor Technology is a woman, veteran, minority-owned small business, also located here in the Washington, D.C. metro area. And I am giving her a shout out because some of the screenshots that I will use today are screenshots of her actual Sam.Gov registration. So finally, my disclaimer. The screenshots used in this presentation are actual screen captures from Sam.Gov. But the views and opinions expressed during this webinar are my views, and in no way the views or opinions of the government or any other entity. If you have not done so already, in the top right of your screen, of your Zoom screen, I would ask you to switch to the standard view to enhance your visibility of some of the SAM screenshots. So with that, we will get right into the training. So first of all, I want to make sure everyone understands that SAM is the federal government's online database of vendors wishing to do business with the federal government. I want to stress that this is at the federal level. This is not state government. So for today, here's the agenda. We're going to go into what's the required information and documents that you need to have on hand before you start your SAM registration. We're going to talk about logging on. We're going to talk about your entity registration, and we're going to go through all the different sections that are within the SAM registration that you need to make sure that you have all the information and documentation readily available. And then we're going to talk about some key takeaways. And then at the end, we'll take any questions. But throughout this presentation, I will pause. I will ask Lisa if there's any questions that have been posted in the chat. And then I will take those questions at that time. And also there'll be time at the end for questions as well. So before registering in Sam.Gov, you need to gather the following information and documents. And I stress that because you don't want to get timed out while you're trying to do your registration. So it is best to have important information and document readily available before you start your SAM registration. So the first being your employee ID number. This is your EIN. You get this from the IRS.gov. This for your business. I will post the link in the chat. But you would just go to irs.gov and type in EIN, and it should bring up where you need to go. But the key here is you've got to complete this online application in one session because you will not be able to save and return later. It's a very simple application. You need to have the name of your business and you need to have your address. You need to have a physical address. You cannot use a virtual or post office box to get an EIN number. It's really short and simple application. It takes probably less than 15 minutes and you get the EIN right there after you hit submit. So there's no days or weeks waiting for your EIN number. The next is your taxpayer identification number. So this can be also your Social Security number. And I want you to keep this in mind because as we go through the SAM registration, there's a portion where you can use your TIN versus your EIN. Now, the next document you should have available is your state business registration documents. For instance, you need to have the state registration documents that has your company's legal business name. Again, you need to have a physical address. You can also have a mailing address, but you need to have your physical address. These can be the same or they can be different, but it need to be a physical address. Now, I would suggest if you have not already done so and registered your business with your state to perhaps Google your business name. Make sure that that name is not already taken somewhere out there on a World Wide Web or even on your state's website. Another opportunity to search to see if your business name is taken is to go to opencorporates.com. Again, I will put that link in the chat at the end. And I can't stress enough is do not use a virtual or a post office box for your physical address on your state registration documents. Now, I would recommend that you save your state registration documents on your computer somewhere where you can readily access it when you start your SAM registration. Some more information you need to have on hand is your business bank routing and account numbers. And in order to get that business bank account, you will need to have an EIN. So if you haven't done so already, get your EIN first and then go for your business bank account. Now, in the offerings, these are the goods and services which you wish to sell to the federal government. These are your North American Industry Classification Codes. These are also your product service codes that you plan to sell to the federal government. I will put the link to the registration to the NAICS codes and PSC codes in the chat. And point of contact. At a minimum, you would need the full name, email address, and phone number of your point of contact. Now, earlier this year, SAM changed their registration where only employees, officers, and board members can be entity administrators in SAM. Therefore, you can no longer have third-party entities registered in SAM to do your administration. They have to be a member of your company. All right, so moving on to logging on. First thing you want to do is go to sam.gov, and you'll have to read and accept the terms to advance to the login screen. Now, your screen may look a little different, but I use Internet Explorer, so if you use another web browser, your screen may look different than what you see here on the screen. So if this is your first time using login.gov, you will need to create an account. You will enter your email address and then follow the prompts to complete a login.gov account. If you already are using login.gov at another website, you can use your same email address and password to sign in to Sam.gov. You do not need a separate username and password if you're already using login.gov at another site. Now, if you are new to login.gov, it is a two-step verification process. So make sure that you have access to the method that you signed up for your second verification. So whether that's your email, your text, your phone call, etc., because it will time out after 10 minutes, and therefore you will have to get another verification code. Now, once you get that verification code, enter into the screen and then you click submit. So now once you have logged into Sam.gov, you are ready to begin the business entity registration process. Click that green Get Start button on the right. Now, as of May 26, 2023, if you have not logged into your Sam.gov profile, or if you are a new registrant, you will now see this question here. And don't be panicked and don't be alarmed, but it's more for marketing purposes, but it does not change anything into your registration. So the first question is, do you want to do, what is your goal for doing business with the federal government? And so you want to work directly with the federal government. The next is select your answer that best fits your information today. So as a prime, you want to select the button for as a prime, because subcontractors don't submit offers or bids to the federal government. So you want to put yourself in a position as the prime. So who required your entity to be registered in Sam.gov? So you can look through the options that you have here. My recommendation is to say, I decided on my own. As the company officer, you're making the choice to conduct business with the federal government. If you select that a federal government recommended that you register in Sam.gov, then you will need to know that entity's information. So it's simpler if you say you decided on your own. So this screen here says, now what do you want to do? So if your sole purpose is to apply for grants and loans, then register for finance assistance awards only. However, if your intent is to be a subcontractor or sub-awardee, then only apply for a UIE. Then there's no business entity registration required. Just getting a UIE validates that your business name and address is legal. Again, as a subcontractor, you are not submitting responses to solicitations as the prime awardee. For this particular presentation, I'm going to focus on how to register a US-based business in SAM for all awards. So that's for grants, that's also for loans, and that's also for solicitations and awards. So by registering in SAM for all awards, you will be visible to the federal agencies and other government contractors looking for suppliers. You will be able to directly bid on federal contracts as a prime or seek federal assistance as a prime awardee. Now, I want to make sure I note that SAM is for federal awards. And again, if you're interested in doing business at the state and local level, then you will need to register with that government's platform. So it's asking, are you registering a government entity? So if you are a business, click no, because you are not registering a government entity. Then click my entity is physically located in the US. Click next to proceed to the registration. Now, because you're a new business entity, you do not have a cage code. A cage code is different from a UEI. The UEI is issued through SAM, while the cage code is assigned by the Defense Logistics Agency after your registration is complete in SAM. So on this screen, you would click no and then next. This screen here is verifying that you are registering a business for all awards in SAM. And all you would do is just verify that and then click next. Now on this screen, it alerts you to additional sections that must be completed to register your business entity. Now, again, make sure you have all the required information and documents that I spoke of earlier readily available before you proceed to the next step. I'm going to pause a little bit on this particular slide because this step is very critical. These 4 elements must match the business name and address you used in your state and your IRS EIN registration. For example, if you use Positive Technology Solutions for your state and EIN, do not just enter Positive Tech Solutions in SAM. Because what will happen is when you submit your entity for validation, it will not match. And you would have to resubmit the corrected information and or documents, thus delaying your registration at SAM. So I'm going to pause right here, Lisa, and see if there's any questions before I move on.
I had a question on that physical address. Excuse me. On the physical address, for my business, I used a box, and that's what's currently accepted in the state of Nevada, and is what's currently on my my registration documentation for the state of Nevada. And this asking for a physical address, and you're saying it must match. So when it doesn't, what do we do?
You're going to have to go to IRS.gov and update it and get a physical address. And I will tell you that because I have I've had customers run into that problem. You need a physical address.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome.
Hi, my name is Anita Hicks. I have a question. I don't know if this is the right time to ask it or not, but I'm already set up in SAM and I am trying to update. So when I start going through the process and it asks me for, it says it's going to send me a one-time passcode. It's going to email it to me. I never get the email. So I can't get beyond that step.
Okay.
I'm going
to talk about that section later on in the training. Can that question hold until then?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. All right. I'm moving to the next slide. All right, so now this screen here says you are about to validate your entity. So as indicated, do not use post office box or virtual address for your physical location. This is also where you will acknowledge that you can provide official documentation to validate your business entity. So the gentleman who just asked the question, I underlined here in red, no post office boxes or virtual offices that you can submit in SAM. So on the next 2 screens, you're going to see in SAM is the one on the left is you enter the year and you use the drop down to select the state where you registered your business. Then you will be asked to confirm your identity information if it's correct on the screen on the right. Once you have confirmed this, entered and confirmed this information, you would just click next. Now on this screen, you will view the list of acceptable documents. This is where I say, make sure you have these documents on hand. Some acceptable documents examples is your articles of incorporation, your articles of formation, certificate of formation, your state receipt saying that you have registered your business, your IRS EIN documentations are all forms of acceptable documentation. Here's the key on this screen. You have to upload at least 3 documents. Although it says view the list of acceptable documents and upload one, you need to upload at least 3 of them, one at a time, because it's looking to make sure that you have answered where you have a legal business name. You also have a physical address. You need to make sure that you upload 3 documents. Otherwise, the screen will be grayed out and you will not be able to advance to the next step. So this is very important. Even though it may just say 1, you really need to upload 3 of them. Now, once you've done that and you've successfully uploaded all your documentations, congratulations, you have just submitted your business entity for validation. This is just validation only. Then it will take another couple of days for Sba.Gov management or administrators to validate that your entity is legal and valid. Now, at this point, once you come back and check your Sba.Gov registration, you will go to Workspace. So up here on the top right, I have circled Workspace. And as you can see, this business entity is in the draft registration phase. So again, entity validation can take anywhere from 2 to 5 days. If everything checks out, your UEI will be visible the next time that you log into Sba.Gov. If not, they will provide you instructions as to what's missing. You may sometimes have to open up an incident ticket and seek assistance for the issues that you're having before you can move from validation to finishing your registration. So again, assuming everything checks out, you will log back into Sba.Gov, you would go to your workspace. Now you would click Work in Progress. So after you see this work in progress, you'll see these 3 dots over here to the right that I have put in a red box. Hit the drop down and select Update from the Entities Action menu. On the screen, you will need to revalidate your entity again, except for this time, when you see this screen, your entity should be listed. Click the button that says, I recognize my entity. Then click Next. Your UEI should be pre-populated on the next screen. And from this point, you still need to complete your registration for all awards. Everything that you've done prior to that has been submitting your entity for validation. All right, are there any questions before I move into the core data?
After the 3 dots, what is it that you clicked?
You click Update. And then it will take you to the next screen to continue with your registration. Okay. So now on this slide, it outlines the necessary steps to complete your registration. The steps must be completed sequentially. You cannot skip around in Sba.Gov. A green check mark will appear indicating that you have completed the applicable sections. So over here to the left, as you finish your business information, you'll see a red green check. As you complete your ownership details, green check, and so on and so forth. But you can't skip from your core data to assertions to representations and certifications. You have to do everything in order. So at a minimum, I highly suggest that this is your first time logging into Sba.Gov to read the page description in the blue boxes before you enter the information. Each page has this on the screens that you'll see in Sba.Gov. Now, mandatory fields are marked with an asterisk. Now here it says your fiscal year. Most businesses, they select December 31st as their fiscal year end closeout date. Now, MPIN, this is a marketing partner ID number. MPIN is a 9-digit alphanumeric password that you create. This is a password that you can use on authorized partners' websites, such as grants.gov. That's the only place that you will see that here in Sba.Gov. Other than that, you will not use it within SAM. It's best for grants.gov. So the physical and mailing addresses will be pre-populated from what you've entered earlier. Now, under the 10, which is the tax ID number subsection, use the drop-down to select the 10 type. Now, if you recall from my earlier discussion, that the 10 type can either be your tax ID number or it's your social security number. So make sure that you read this red box here, enter the information and select update to continue. It says, let me blow up this screen a little bit. It says, if you select your social security number as your 10 type, this page, you must select either sole proprietorship or limited liability company. Okay, so just make sure that you have the appropriate information readily available. So as stated on the previous slide, I use my social security number as my TIN because I am a sole proprietorship limited liability company. So for this slide, it's asking, what is my most recent tax year as an individual? For example, if you started your business in 2022, your recent tax year as an individual was 2021. So make sure you enter that information correctly, click save, and then continue. Now for the lady that asked this question, for your 10 matching, you will get a one-time password emailed to your login.gov email account. Click send password and then enter the password that is sent to your email in order to proceed to the next screen. So make sure that the login.gov email that you use for your SAM registration, that's the account that it's sending that one-time password to. Now, if you're still not getting that one-time password, I recommend that you open up an incident ticket with the Sba.Gov administrators. So, to allow time for questions at the end of this presentation, I will not cover all the subsections under core data, but as you can see here, there's quite a few. In this general information subsection, the focus of this slide is to point out the security level of a business entity versus that of its employees. For example, an entity security level is the security level is a facility clearance for the business, whereas the highest employee security level refers to the employees. Sometimes people get these two confused when it asks, do you have a security clearance? You have to differentiate between a facility clearance or employee personnel clearance. So this slide is a continuation of the previous general information subsection. Now, if you recall the note inside the red box about 4 slides ago that stated, if you select Social Security number as your 10 type on this page, you must select either sole proprietorship or LLC on the general information page later during this registration. So here's where it's going to ask you to select the organizational factors, or just one, applicable to your business entity. So like I stated, I am a sole proprietor LLC, so I have selected both of these as my business entity. Now, the last part here over the right on the general information subsection, you would select the applicable social economic categories. Now, I must caution you on this particular screen that the government will verify if you say that you are a veteran or a woman-owned or another socioeconomic category with the Small Business Administration before awarding your business a set-aside contract. Also, I want to caution you, for instance, if you say that you are a woman-owned business, but you're not verified by the SBA, and you submit an offer to the government certifying that you are a woman-owned business, that could be a red flag. And perhaps if you were to win that award, they could not award it to you because you have not been certified by the SBA. And that's just one example of making sure that you have, if you check that you are a women-owned or service-disabled-owned veteran business, that you are certified by the SBA. So on this screen, make sure that you review your core data entries before proceeding to the assertion section. So it will take you back through all the information that you enter under core data and before you can proceed to the assertions section. Any questions so far?
Sorry, I just didn't want to skip over that. Okay, so really, one of the first things to do then is to get certified by Sba.Gov if you're not one of those categories, if you are one of those categories before undertaking this application.
This is my recommendation. I would say to still do your registration in Sam.Gov because, for instance, your women-owned certification could take 4 months while you wait for that to get approved. And that's almost like a minimum. That's provided that there's no errors in your application. Meanwhile, you're missing out on opportunities because not all opportunities will have a set aside for that particular economic category.
Understood. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I have a question. So for the women-owned certified, can you go back and change it later, or should you go ahead and select women-owned if you're in the process of getting certified?
So like I've stated, if you submit an offer to the government and let's say, for instance, if you are awarded that by the government, they cannot actually give you that award, meaning, actually have you sign a contract. If when they check Sba.Gov, you're not a women-owned business. And that's if that particular solicitation was a woman-owned set aside. But if it's full and open and there's no set aside, then you're okay, if that makes sense.
Can you go back and change it later?
Yes, you can.
What's my question? Thank you.
Yes. You can always go back into Sam.Gov and update your registration. You can also add and remove NAICS codes, PSC codes. So once you are registered and your entity is valid, you can go back and make updates as often as you need. So the assertion section, this is where you will select your product service codes and your NAICS codes. Again, I will put these in the chat after this presentation. So the NAICS codes is the North American Industry Classification Codes, and the PSCs is your product service codes. Enter these into SAM. As you can see, you can check as many as that are applicable, and then you just click next. Now in this subsection, you will enter your annual receipts. If you have just started your business and you do not have any receipts to report, just enter $1, but you have to enter something. You cannot put 0. Now, also, if you are the only employee in your company at this time, put 1, but you cannot enter 0. So either enter $1, enter 1, or enter the applicable numbers, dollars and numbers, and then save and continue. So in this page description, it says, and I kind of want to read this, most registrants do not provide EDI information. So if it says most registrants do not, I would say keep it simple, select no, save and continue. So it says, do you wish to enter EDI information? Select no, click save and continue, move on to the next screen. So this subsection of assertions inquires whether you wish for your entity to be included in disaster response registry. So you would use the drop-down menu to select yes or no. So this disaster response registry, if you would think, for example, FEMA response through national disasters or forest fires, this is what that's asking about. So the next question here says, does your company require bonding? responding is mainly for construction companies. So you would select the appropriate response from the drop-down menu. Now, if you selected yes for disaster response, then you would select the area or areas where you want to offer your products and services. So you can do any state, you can do one state, or you can do multiple states. Now on this SAM screen, you review your assertion information for accuracy, then proceed to the representations and search sections, commonly referred to as reps and certs. So reps and certs are written guarantees made by your entity to comply with various requirements and are required for the conduct of business with the federal government. So to ensure I leave time for questions at the end, I only want to cover FAR Response 1. This subsection refers to the person or persons within your entity that's responsible for determining prices offered in bids and proposals. So I would highly recommend that you click that FAR link here to where I have underlined if you want further clarification as to what this FAR represents. And then once you have read that, enter the person's name and their title and then click next. So if you selected an architectural and engineering NAICS code, such as the 541330 engineering services, then complete this page. You can use the drop-down menu to select the vendor will provide the information with specific offers to the government as the default response. Again, keep it simple. I would recommend that you say the vendor will provide this information as the default response if this NAICS codes apply to your entity. Now, if you do not select a architectural and engineering NAICS code, the screen will show our records indicate that you have not selected this NAICS code. Are you sure? It's just asking for clarification. Respond accordingly. Now I want to point out the difference between the defense, the DFARS information. So the next two screens you will see in your SAM registration are defense response and FAR, DFARS, reps, and certs. The first screen, defense response, asks if you wish to bid on or currently hold DoD, Department of Defense contracts. Click yes or no, and if no, the rest of the screen will be not applicable. In the FAR-DFAR subsection, there will be a list and a link to the provisions that you are required to read before you can proceed with your registration. So here's a list of those FAR-DFAR clauses that you have to read and acknowledge before you will proceed to the next screen. You would click that checkbox and save and continue. So on this screen, you would check the appropriate box if you wish to apply for federal financial assistance, such as grants. Click the appropriate box, yes or no, and then proceed to the point of contact section. So at a minimum, you need to enter the full name, the email address, and the phone number of the accounts receivable point of contact. Now, if this same individual is your sole proprietorship, your electronic, your government business, etc. POC, you can select the copy from in the drop-down menu, and it would duplicate the point of contact information, thus saving you time in your business registration, so you don't have to keep entering that information if that individual is the same. Now, and I want to remind you that as of March of this year, only employees, officers, and board members can be entity administrators in SAM. You can no longer use third parties. So moving on to the small business certification section. So if you are a small business, I highly recommend you visit the SBA supplemental page, which says DSBS, to view and update your small business administration profile. Now, upon review and/or your updates, you need to return to SAM to complete your business entity registration. Now, this step here, it can be completed after you submit your business registration, but it's important to make sure that you complete this step because this is used as market research to locate small businesses. So the federal government uses it, but also large primes and other entities looking for teaming partners use this to find small businesses. And I will put the link in the chat. And for DSBS, it's on the SBA's website, and you will need your login.gov to log into SBA Connect. All right, we're getting down to submitting your registration.
Hey, question on the link that was there to DSS. So that link hasn't been working for a while to update your capability statement. Can you provide any insight into that?
Yes. So I'm going to post this link here because it has moved to Connect, SBA Connect.
Okay.
So the one that's listed in SAM, it does not work. I'm going to put this link here, connect.sba.gov, into the chat because that's the link you will use to get to DSBS.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So on this final page, you're going to go back and review all the information you provided earlier on for accuracy. So if everything looks good, click Submit Your Registration to complete the process. Now, after submitting your registration, it can take anywhere from 10 to 15 business days for your business entity registration to be verified and activated. And then there's probably another week for a cage code. There's nothing you need to do between the time that your business has been activated to get your cage code. It will be automatically assigned from DLA. And you will get a confirmation email that congratulations, your business entity has been validated and activated in SAM. Now, here's some key takeaways. Ensure that you have required information and documents readily available before you begin the registration process. Make sure, again, that your information that you enter in SAM, it matches your IRS EIN and your state registration information, especially your business name. If you did a shortcut on your business name, make sure it's duplicate throughout your state documentation, SAM, and the IRS. Now, don't forget, once you do your SAM registration, if you didn't exit out and complete your SBA profile on the supplemental pages, make sure you do that for your company to have that visibility to the federal government, to primes, to also other teaming partners looking for people to team up with on opportunities. Again, this takes about 3 weeks for a complete business entity registration. And getting your cage code could take an additional week. So keep that in mind as you see different opportunities that you want to submit offer on, but you have to be registered, have to have an active registration in SAM. Like a question that was asked earlier, you can update your product and service offerings, your NAICS and PSE codes, your points of contacts, and any other relevant details as often as you like. You just need to make sure that your registration stays active and ready to do business with the federal government. And this step is important because I read an article where a company was protested because they submitted an offer, they were selected by the government, however, their entity had lapsed. So therefore, the government could not issue them that award. So that's why it's very important to make sure your registration is active at all times. So when you get to this steps, congratulations. You have successfully registered your business in Sba.Gov and your entity is now active. Now, by doing so, you have made your business visible to the federal agencies and other prime contractors looking for suppliers. Thank you again for joining me today for Sba.Gov Simplified. Are there any other questions?
Rosalind, I saw on the previous slide where it had a expiration date. Is that an automatically generated one, or what is that referred to?
It is an automatic generated one. every year, you have each year you need to update your SAM registration profile. They will send you a reminder. However, I don't rely on the administrators and SAM to send me the reminder, so I put a reminder on my own calendar to make sure that I keep my SAM profile updated.
Hey, Rosalind, I had a quick question on the bids and proposal kind of protocol or process. Can you touch on just briefly what that looks like? Is it a negotiation of some sort? Is it just a message that comes to the company email? And what does that look like?
So if you're asking, like, for instance, in SAM, if you see a solicitation that you perhaps want to submit an offer on, you would have to read through it and make sure that you have the skills and expertise to submit an offer on it.
Okay. Okay. So the proposals, the offers actually come through the system for the business to start from that point with the acceptance, or is there negotiations or of any sort, or is it just the government saying this is what we got, take it or leave it? What does that look like?
So this is a little bit off track. However, I will answer your question. So when you see opportunities in Sba.Gov, you have to look and see what type of solicitation it is. For instance, it could be an RFI, which is a request for information. It could be a source of salt notice, which is, again, another type of request for information. It's market research from the government, looking to see what type of entities out there that could perhaps perform the work that they're asking. What you see in SAM are all solicitations above $25,000, but SAM is not the only place that you can find opportunities. You can also go to agency portals within their own websites, but you can also go to large primes. They also have their internal portals as well. So my suggestion is don't just rely on SAM to find opportunities. Also, if you see an opportunity in SAM that says solicitation, what I've been told and what I've learned is that it's almost kind of, you're behind the power curve. You want to look at solicitations that are still in the market research phase.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your time on that.
You're welcome.
Hey, Rosalind, can you touch a little bit on just exactly where, I know you're going to send out the link, but where to update the capability statement, because that's not automatically built into the SAM system.
So it's not in SAM, it's at SBA Connect. It's in your DSBA small business profile.
And that's the link that you'll send out, correct?
That's the link that I'm going to put in the chat.
Okay, thanks.
I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to put these links in the chat.
Rosalind, will the slides be made available?
No, and I will tell you, because I've seen where other people will take the slides and use them for no good. I'll just leave it at that.
We will be providing the recording now. If you missed anything, we usually send the recording.
Excellent.
And Lisa, do you also post it on your website as well?
We do. We have it on our YouTube channel, which is free, like a video library. There's other workshops on there as well if you'd like to go, watch those at your convenience. Some that Rosalind has done and other different topics as well.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome. And we'll be sending the recording to you directly, a link to the recording, or you can go on the YouTube and watch it there once it's posted.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I've posted all those links in the chat to include the IRS EIN, how you can do a business search at opencorporates.com, the link to SAM, also the link to NAICS and PSC codes, and the link to SBA Connect.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Rosalind. As always, you do such an excellent job explaining everything. We appreciate you and all your services. So I did have the date wrong for the MBE. It's November 9th and 14th. I'm
Okay.
sorry, I had 7th on it. That was for something else. But I put the links for registering for those if you're interested in the chat as well.
And I also will be posting them on my LinkedIn profile after this session. I did not want it to conflict with today's.
Yeah. And we will as well. So does anybody have any more questions?
Yeah, I had one really quick question about SBA certifications, specifically for minority-owned, native-owned, and Indian economic enterprise. So I see where we can kind of self-certify those things on SAM when you register, but at what point do those become relevant, and at what point do you have to actually certify yourself there? Is there a place where I can certify, or is it when I do the proposal on a contract?
So a little bit outside the scope of this workshop, however, for minority-owned certifications is normally done through your state and not on SBA, unless you're talking about the 8A program, or if you're talking like a women-owned certification. So those are done on SBA. Now you can self-certify on some certifications. However, starting January 1st, if you are a veteran-owned small business, self-certification will no longer be recognized. And there's about 11 or 12 additional agencies outside of the VA that will no longer recognize self-certified veteran-owned small businesses, meaning that you cannot be awarded a set-aside contract for a veteran-owned small business.
Got it. Yeah, I'm tracking. I'm VOSB, SDVOSB. I'm getting all that certified, but I didn't just wanted to get your insight on some of the other certifications. Thank you.
Yep. And like I stated earlier, it's best to go ahead and get your certifications. And at the same time that you have doing your SAM registration profile, you don't have to wait to get them. And for the women-owned, it takes about 4 months. For the veteran-owned, I'm hearing it takes about 2 weeks. The process has been a lot streamlined. And for instance, if you go for a veteran-owned and then you apply for women-owned, some of the same documentations can be used and ported over for your women-owned application as well. So saving you a little bit of time.
Thank you. I guess just for some context for you, it's been 90 days since I registered and sent everything for SDVOSB, and I haven't heard back yet.
You might want to follow up because there may be something going on with your application. It has not been taking that long for others that I've heard from. And that's even with the certification moving to SBA at the beginning of this year.
Got it. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Well, thank you again, Roslyn. We appreciate you and look forward to the MB classes in November. Hopefully we'll have as many people on and with lots of questions like today. We've had a great group. Thank you guys for joining us. And if anybody's interested in joining our newsletter list to find out about other events, please email me. Again, my email's in the chat. It's also ltwilley@marylandcapital.org. Thank you all and have a great day.
Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate it. Enjoy your day.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.